Hi, greetings, and welcome to another episode of the Rise Up Mama podcast. My name's Vanessa, and I'm a lifestyle coach. And as you know, I love to just have a chat with my guest speaker who will be coming on for the Health and Wellbeing Cafe. So this afternoon, I am speaking to an amazing woman. We're going to find out so much knowledge. So if you have a pen and paper, then I would take notes and also make sure you're going to be available to come on to the Health and Wellbeing Cafe, which is the 27th of May at 8 o'clock, and you'll find the link in the description. But let me introduce you to Vani Linda Bretherton, who is a you've got so many qualifications actually. How would you describe yourself?
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here. I think that I usually describe myself as a master trainer. It's my life's work, or should I say the second half of my life's work is Ayurveda, and I became a master trainer in Ayurveda. So I probably describe that. That's probably my title, Ayurvedic master trainer.
Thank you. So obviously when you come and speak with us on the 27th, you will be given as an introduction to Ayurveda and also the Bodysonic scanner.
Bodysonic.
Yeah,
That's right.
so I'm very excited about that. So this conversation isn't really about that. It's just really an opportunity for the audience to get to know you a little bit. Like I said, even in the short time that I had with last week, you shared so much knowledge and wisdom with me. I was like, whoa, So this is really an opportunity to give us a little bit of an insight. So I've got a few questions for you, if that's okay.
That's fine.
The first one, which would give us a chance to get to know you before you became a master trainer. What is your background before you started working in the specialist area that you're doing now? What were you doing before, please, Barney?
Well, it's a long time ago. I've been a master trainer for 35 years. I've been in Ayurveda for 35 years. I'm 70. So I'm an example for any of your listeners to know that they can do anything.
Brilliant.
They can start at any time. So prior to this work, I was an interior designer.
Wow. Gosh.
I used to design hotels and houses and properties in different parts of the world, and was quite successful. And that's what I did before I completely did a huge turnaround and started the work that I do now. But it was a long journey. I didn't straight away go into Ayurveda. I did other things, spiritual things, self-healing. I did a lot of work in America. I did shamanic work. So it was only when I came upon Ayurveda that I saw how comprehensive it was and how important it was to health and well-being. But prior to that, I was an interior designer.
Yeah, because I'd like to comment actually that I've been on one of your courses, and obviously you're filming yourself in the kitchen, and you have got such a beautiful kitchen. I've always thought that when I've seen your posts on social media and stuff. So obviously, if you're presenting yourself to your audience online, because I know you've got some online courses as well, it's really important that the background does look what I would say nice to the viewer. And I will say to anybody viewing this podcast on the YouTube, I'm not at home, so I don't have that nice background with me in my kitchen. But yeah, so I would say that Barney, you can definitely see that your experience and your eye for detail has stayed with you. So just speaking about Ayurveda, can you just give us a snapshot? What exactly is it? You told me last week, but just for those people who might have seen the wording before, which I had done myself, but not really sure what it is. What is it, please?
Well, Ayurveda, the word itself means the science of life, the science of living. So it's about how we live every day in our lives. So Ayur itself means the knowing, and Veda means living. So Ayurveda simply means the knowing of the way to live well.
Wow. So where is this originated from then?
Well, it's one of the oldest modalities in the world. It originated in the ancient Asian continent before the continent then came together, and it then started to appear in the area of India along the Saraswati River. And it's about, what we do know is that it's at least 7,000 years old. And so it's before Christ. It is a very ancient concept of living that has been stood the test of time, clearly.
Yes. How did you get started? So you touched briefly, you were doing your interior design, you were successful traveling the world. How then did you do this U-turn?
Well, it was because, like many women, and men as well, but we are talking to women, like many women, I realized that there was something missing within my life. The interior design world is very glamorous, and I would suspect there are many people that think, oh, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
And you go and do people's houses, and yes, there is a lot of rewards, but there's also masses of stress and masses of problems that come with doing that kind of work. You are in charge of many things, in charge of somebody's building, their electricity, the colour, everything. So really, I suppose you could say I burnt out. I was burnt out. I'd been an interior designer for 20 years. One of the last jobs I did was the Crown Plaza Hotels, which is a huge project. And the other thing, of course, that I'm sure many of your listeners will relate to, is it's a man's world. You're dealing with builders and architects and painters and carpet fitters. They're all men, and all of the problems and the frustrations that come with wanting you to be subservient and do as you're told as a woman. And we're talking 30, 35 years ago, but truly not a lot's changed. Truly hasn't. And so I was burnt out and looking for something new. So I did some studying, looking for a counsellor to help me, a mentor, and that led me to a program that I did in Florida with the Ford Institute, which led me to being the first Ford Institute consultant in Great Britain at the time. And that led me to other areas of shamanic work. I worked with some of the top spiritual teachers of our time, Deepak Chopra, Neil Donald Walsh, Wayne Dyer, and always looking for the best and most comprehensive way of healing and well-being and helping others. And Ayurveda fitted that bill. And I read a book on a plane when I was coming back from Florida. I read a book on a plane that was about Ayurveda, and I went, wow, this is something I'm really keen on. And I then contacted different people and ended up in a Vedic monastery in North Carolina, and that's where I did my training over 4 years.
Wow, gosh, that's a fantastic story. That is
There's a lot
absolute.
more to it, but
No,
that's
exactly. I can appreciate you
in a
condensed it.
nutshell.
Yeah, fantastic. Wow. So this is a question. Given that you've been, you are a master trainer, 30 years experience, I just want to set your mind back in the last decade. So the question I've got for you is, what do you wish you had known 10 years ago?
Well, it's a difficult question because 10 years ago I was well into being a master trainer and doing the work that I do. But I suppose the answer would probably be, I wish I'd have known. I've always known, but I think when I work with clients and students, you have to tell them things many, many times for it to click.
Yeah.
I try to tell people things from a different perspective, from a different angle, using different language. And I suppose I wish I could have known about the Bodysonic 10 years ago.
Wow. And why would that be then, Vani? What is so special about Bodysonic?
Well, so you can go to your doctor, you can go to a therapist, you can go to a practitioner and have and talk about your mental health, your physical health, and your well-being. And this is not criticizing any of them because I've been there and for many, many years. But they can only give you their advice based upon your symptoms and based upon what you tell them. But and even a surgeon can only look at what's wrong with you by cutting you open, opening you up, and then a surgeon won't know whether there's something wrong with your blood. He won't know unless he's specialised in blood. So as much as these people, doctors, therapists, practitioners are trained, as I am, massively trained, I can only give you the information from what I know from my training and from what you tell me. But the Bodysonic scans everything within your body. It scans your blood, it scans your brain, it scans your arteries. So I have clients that come to me and they've already had three blood tests by their doctors, and they've already been for an MRI scan and nothing has shown up because they can't get to the quantum physics that the Bodysonic can.
Wow.
So the Bodysonic can find what parasites are creating a problem. So if you've got brain fog or headaches and you go to the doctor and he has a look at you and he takes a blood test and he says, well, there's nothing really flagging up, you're all right, maybe you need extra sleep, or there's nothing wrong with you. I can do a scan on your brain and it'll tell me if there are microorganisms in there that are causing a problem. But there's nothing else that does that. Now in South Africa, many, which is where I trained with the Bodysonic, in South Africa, many doctors use the Bodysonic.
Wow.
But it's not here in England, of course.
Okay. Well, I've looked at your website and I'm definitely interested in that myself. And, just going back in terms of why I reached out to you originally was because you posted on LinkedIn a photograph of parasites.
Yeah.
You was explaining, I don't know, I can't remember how much reaction you had to the post, but I was certainly interested because you'd said, this is a parasite, and you don't know what this is doing, and obviously all the parasites, what it's doing
in your body, yeah.
in your body, like in your body.
Yeah.
So I was so fascinated by that. So yeah, that's really interesting. Okay. So now, I mean, you may mention some of the big names that you've already said that you've had acquaintance with, but I'm interested in who's been the biggest influence in your life. So it may be from a professional level, or it may be a member of the family or someone you've met in your life. Who's really shaped Vani Linda Bretherton to who is with us today?
You know, I think that is a question that is really too difficult to pinpoint. Don't forget, I'm 70, and so in my years of being in the world, I've been influenced by many. And if I was going to say, so in interior design, I was influenced by some top interior designers. When I was doing shamanic work, I was influenced by shamanic teachers. But if you were saying Ayurvedic, I suppose the most fascinating and impactful person Ayurvedically would be Deepak Chopra.
Wow.
And I've met him. I was because I keep saying I'm 70, but because I'm 70, I've lived a long life. And when I went to do some training with Deepak Chopra, which is 30 years ago, he was nowhere near as famous as he is now. We used to sit in a little circle talking. You'd never get that now with Deepak Chopra. He has millions and millions of followers. So I've been fortunate to have been one-to-one with some of the greatest names in health on the planet.
Well, that's interesting, because if you think about Deepak, personally, I've only really associated him with meditations and things that I've heard him say on some of the more famous talk shows. But like you said, that's after they've become famous. But I think there was a program before they were famous. So I wasn't aware of his work, and I'm still not really that familiar with his work. It's just snippets, and I know that he's written books and certain things.
So Deepak Chopra's written over 100 books.
Wow.
He is the most well-known Ayurvedic master in the world.
So he would describe himself as an Ayurveda.
Absolutely. He has an Ayurvedic centre, where I went to be trained.
Wow, that's interesting, because I guess it's all about marketing and positioning yourself. Because for me, when I do a search on YouTube, for example, meditation, he will come up as one of the top.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's really interesting.
Ayurveda is meditation. He will teach you Ayurvedic meditation. He will teach you, and all his books. I mean, I've got some CDs of his here, which are wonderful CDs. So, oh yes, his centre in La Jolla, the Chopra Centre, is all based on Ayurveda. That's where I did some of my training.
What I also wanted to add is, well, I don't know, please enlighten me, but you know, when you see somebody almost like coming through, like you said, he's very famous now, things have changed, but obviously he would have still been learning and growing over the last 30 years. Have you seen that within yourself if you've continued to study him?
Oh, seen it with him?
Yes.
I think that what I've seen with Deepak is that he is probably now like me. He doesn't, he has no need to prove himself. Now, I'm not as famous as him, but I am well known in this industry. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and we were talking about this kind of thing. And I said, fame hasn't really been on my agenda. I think I've been too passionate about what I simply do with students and clients. But I would say that Deepak has become, hey, if you're not interested in what I say, it doesn't matter.
It
go
doesn't
away.
matter, exactly, because there's so many people. The following is so great that I suppose it's that connection, isn't it? If you do connect with him, if you do resonate with his message, then you can find out more. If not, I'm sure that there may be other people that maybe have learned from him.
Yeah.
You know, you may connect with as well. So this leads on to a very interesting question, which is about, again, a bit of reflection for you. What are you most proud of in your many years of teaching and helping people, whether it be in health or with your former career? Where are your proudest moments?
Again, do you know, it's another question that is very, very difficult to answer. You know, I do a program which is called Satchitananda, and it talks about how pride is actually a way of suffering. And it's about using pride as a way to lift your own self-esteem. And it's an illusion, because we can
living
only
in the
live
now.
Yeah, it's only about our own. But if I was to say what I've been pleased with rather than proud, yes, I suppose I was very pleased with some of the wonderful houses I designed. I did several houses in the Channel Islands that were beautiful, and I've still got photographs of those. And I suppose pleased with the transition that I am able to make between. So Ayurveda has an interior design component to it, which is called Vastu. But it's more about how the elements work in your house, which I talked about briefly with you. So I suppose I am pleased with the way I've been able to transition my kind of life before into what I do now, which is bring, no matter who you are, Ayurveda and feeling better, self-confidence and healthier. You can bring it into your life, whether you are a rock star or whether you are a mum with 3 kids at home, which of course I was once.
Okay, right. That's interesting. I mean, I know one of the things that we spoke about last week was my lack of, or more excuses on why I wasn't meditating. So I've fixed that. And do you know what's happened? And I'm just bringing it up now in the conversation because it's relevant to my home. What I found has been most insightful part of my breakthrough, just going back to the practice of meditation, is really wanting my home to be so clean. Like, deep cleaning was like in abundance over the weekend. The decluttering, which I'd started but not really followed through on, it has been moved. I've made arrangements with local charity. Well, I always say they're local, they're not local, but somebody I know in Nottingham works with an international charity. So actually putting things in motion has been fantastic for me.
Yeah, but have you realized that the reason why you're decluttering or you're starting to declutter your home is because you've been decluttering the mind?
Yes, just having that time. But what I would say about meditation, which I can't remember what day it happened, what do you do when you're so relaxed that you fall asleep? Because that has been an issue.
Well, the problem with that is that there's 2 things. A simple problem is you're not getting enough sleep at night. That's a really simple answer. You need to have more sleep, and you're just tired.
Yeah.
That's a very simple answer. The second answer, which is more complex, is that you're probably, it's the ego just knocking you into sleep.
Okay,
so
not listening.
Yeah, that's right.
That's interesting, Vani, because I've literally just done a session on the ego last week with some women that are in my accountability group. So those of you that are listening, this word ego is something that we really do need to be aware of, and how it keeps us in our comfort zone. So I'm just giving the example here with Vani about, I know meditation is really important, but over the weekend, yes, I am a mum, as you know, so there is going to be the issue of, I work full time, I do my coaching part time, I've got the home, I've got the baby, so obviously I'm on the go. But and I was like, what is going on here? Because I want to do this. And actually what I did, I started again 3 times on one day, because I was like, no, I'm going to meditate. I'm not just going to fall asleep. So that was my little story there. So
Yeah, well, that's right. You need to be consistent.
Yeah.
You need to tell the ego you're not going to listen to it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. No.
I'm not doing that. I'm doing this. Yeah.
Yeah,
brilliant.
that's right.
Okay.
Takes time.
Brilliant. So what I like to ask this question is just because I find words have power. So I always like to find out from the guest speaker about a quote that, or maybe a few quotes that have really resonated with you that you'd like to pass on and share that wisdom with others. What would be?
Well, I think that it's not a quote, but it's actually a concept in Ayurveda. Well, not even Ayurveda, it's a concept in Vedic knowledge. And it's a word, and it's called ahimsa. And it means non-violence. And it means non-violence to the self. So that would mean eating badly, taking drugs or drinking too much, smoking, that kind of thing. It means non-violence to others. It means non-violence to animals. It's actually non-violence to all living beings. So ahimsa would be an important word that I would pass on to people.
That's, again, interesting, particularly when it comes to addictions. And, we could talk about the ego all day, because the ego has a role there as well, doesn't it, Vani? So
that's right.
Thank you for sharing that one. So I had a look at your website, and I know that there's some historical things on there. You've done some recordings that people can go and pay. I don't know if it was a monthly subscription, but they could have access to your work.
No monthly subscription.
Was it just £10?
No, it's absolutely free. You can go onto the website. You just have to join by putting your email in, and then the website is completely free for people to just come on.
Oh, I'll be doing that then. So I'll
absolutely.
do that. Okay.
No payment.
Okay, but I know you're busy, because we were going to do this recording next week, and you said, oh no, I've got a workshop coming on. So is this a workshop that you're repeating, or do you have any new workshops that you would like to tell us about?
Well, the main workshops, which are very, very popular at the moment, I do long workshops. I'm doing a 30-day workshop at the moment, and that's a seasonal workshop Ayurvedically. It's about purifying the body. And the next one is September. But the workshops that are very popular at the moment, that we get people on all the time, they're a 5-day. It's a focused, intensive 5-day workshop, which looks at removing obstacles, removing self-sabotage, fear, that kind of thing. And I integrate Ayurveda, Jungian psychology, because I'm a Jungian psychologist, and EFT. And I integrate them all together, and it's called Psycho-Veda. So it's the psychology and the Vedic information. And I do those all the time. I've got one coming up. It starts next Monday. It's at 7 o'clock every night, 7 till 8, for 5 days. And you come on to clear something. So if you've got a problem with something specific, you come with that, and we talk about it, and we clear it, and we do a 5-day intensive, and that's £25. So it's very cheap. I get lots of people on it. It's a live program that I do on Facebook. So you put into a group and I do a live session like this, and lots of people come on that, and I do that regularly.
That one sounds amazing, but I tell you the one I was interested in, and I didn't see any further dates. It said the inner child. I don't know if I said the title properly.
Yeah, so I do inner child workshops. I also do lots of inner child weekends, and this 5-day intensive, I also do a 5-day intensive inner child one.
Are you going to repeat that?
Yeah, I do them all the time. I do them all the time. Yeah. Okay. I do one at least once a month, usually twice a month.
Brilliant.
And I do cookery workshops and that kind of thing. But the most popular are inner child and the concept of self-sabotage, lack of belief in the self. Yeah. And what I do is I integrate Ayurvedic knowledge. So I give people a lot of advice as well as we do a process.
So you've told us like what Ayurveda is. Why is it important? You know, it sounds like it's something that we should all know about. Why, yeah. You know, what would you say is so important for us to learn?
The most important thing to learn with Ayurveda is that you are, and I know this is going to be a cliche, and I know you're going to nod your head and go, yes, because everybody does, but they don't really get it. The absolute foundational understanding of Ayurveda is that you are connected to nature. Mm-hmm. Okay. That you are at one with the universe. That when you have a madly busy mind and you can't think straight, that is just like the wind taking up energy in the external world. When you've got really bad heated IBS and the stomach is burning, you are connected to the heat of the sun. And when you are grounded and feel really safe and comfy, wrapped up in your chair at night with a big cup, you're connecting to Mother Earth. And if you knew how the elements worked within your body, it is miraculously healing.
Thank you. That sounds absolutely amazing. So yeah, it's a lot bigger than I thought it was. I don't really know what I thought it was. I'd seen the word because obviously there are other Ayurveda therapists, practitioners. So I'd always seen the word, but I just didn't know what it was, to be fair.
Yeah.
Okay. So I love to know about books and knowledge. So are you reading anything at the moment, Vani, that you think, you know, is accessible for people? I'm not talking about maybe something that's part of your, you know, keeping up with your work.
Books are really difficult from Ayurveda. There is, of course, my own book, which is called Dosha for Life, which is a book I've written on Ayurveda. And I wrote that because people find, like you, complex and they don't know what it's about and they're not sure. So it's a contemporary view of Ayurveda. And so, of course, I don't read it because I wrote it. But I truly do recommend it to most of my clients and students because it gives you an overview of what the thing that the book does is it gives you 3 people and it takes those 3 people through how they live and it maps Ayurveda next to them. So it gives you can relate. You can pick one of these people and relate to them. Other books, really, I don't read fiction at all. I don't read any fiction. And at the moment, I'm not doing any reading, but vibrational medicine is a wonderful one that I have here and refer to a lot, which is all about healing using all different things, all different types of vibrational medicine, which we use, of course, with the Bodysonic.
Yeah, and that sounds fantastic. Thank you. And I didn't realize that you'd written a book. So again, I'm assuming that that's available on the website, is it? That people can buy
I've written 3 books.
3? Wow, gosh. I'm gonna have to go back on that website. Okay, so one of the things that we talk about in the session, and I've named the group after it, is about happiness. So I always like the guest speaker to leave us with a happiness tip, which I'm sure your whole talk we're going to be picking up elements that we can apply into our life. But just for those that are listening now and are thinking about coming on to the session on the 27th, do you have a happiness tip that you could share with us, please?
There are many happiness tips, but the biggest happiness tip is to, and I've already said it, is to connect with nature. And to connect with, even if you're in a high-rise flat, if you're in an urban area, go out and get a plant or go and buy some fresh veg and cook yourself a really simple, natural stew. You know, Kimberlaki is an Ayurvedic. I tell you, there's nobody I know that doesn't like Kimberlaki. It is made with red lentil and sweet potato, and it is very, very simple. Making a natural, delicious vegetarian food and being in, so nature, when I say connect to nature, I'm talking about all levels. So a happiness, connect to nature however you can.
Brilliant. Wow, Vani, that was just amazing. I cannot wait for this talk on the 27th. And also on a personal level, you know, I was looking at the website, there's so many elements of what you're doing that, you know, I'm like, well, I've already done the workshop you did with the cooking. So I'm like, wow, I definitely want to be following this woman. You know, she's got so much knowledge to share. This Ayurveda is much more than I ever thought it was, but it sounds like even if we take the introduction and start applying certain things
just
in our
little
life,
pieces, yeah,
it's going to make
absolutely
a difference.
Make a difference.
Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I just, you know, really appreciate the wisdom that you shared with us. Obviously, you've given us reference to quite a few things. So I'm going to leave the link to your website under the description of this video. And if you're listening on the podcast platform, there'll be a link to Vani's website and also the link to the event on the 27th of May at 8 o'clock. Please take this opportunity to be on the call, because when you're on the call, it gives you a chance to ask questions. Even if you feel shy, you can leave a message in the chat. You have the guest speaker to actually answer the question in the live session. Do not miss out on this opportunity to be with such a knowledgeable woman. You know, she's only touched the surface, because when we spoke, she was talking about her actual expertise in psychology as well. And I can just see, listening to what you described today, Vani, that everything mixed together, all of those elements together, you know, that's just such a powerful way that we can actually take elements and say, you know what, even, you know, step by step, day by day, but if we make a start and we try, we can see and feel the difference.
Absolutely. Tiny little steps.
Brilliant. Well, I cannot wait till the 27th. So I'm going to say thank you so much. And namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you.